Wow, huge news for the NBA and for sports gambling, and yet they're two completely different stories. All right, let's get into this. First, we'll talk about the NBA part of this, which is the gambling part of this. Sports gambling, you see it advertised everywhere, right? Each individual player for a game, but basically every player in the NBA, has an over-under on how many points they will score in that particular game. What's accused of happening here is that the player basically took themselves out of the game, faking an injury or something like that, so everybody knew going into the game that the under would hit. So let's say you're supposed to get over or under 12 points in that game based on how you are as an actual, player, one of the stars, whatever. 12. Well, okay. Now you go into the game, you get 2 points, 4 points. Ooh, I got an injury. I'm out, coach. I'm out. That means your under hits in that game. If that information was known to a certain amount of people, they could go out and bet the under in that game. And if you're working with a high stakes gambler who's got enough people on board called straw men, they can go out to all these different casinos, bet the maximum amount of money, and then all try to get the win on that under because you know it's going to happen. We don't know the reasons why this person would do it. These people make a lot of money, but maybe they still need more money or there's something else going on. We don't know. All right, so that's part one. Then there's the other part. This is even more interesting if you're into technology and maybe movies and heists and things like that. High stakes poker going on and run by, or at least assisted by, these famous NBA connections, including Chauncey Billups, who's made $100 million in his career, the current coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, some others involved as well. This is what is alleged by the FBI. They were organizing these high-stakes poker games and inviting in someone called the whale, the fish, the person who's got the money, who they're going to basically fleece through an organized network of technology and strategy to make sure that person loses that night. Here's what they were saying happened. This technology is wild, folks. They said that you could put in contact lenses so you could see markings on cards that you would only see if the contact lenses were on, or the glasses. You ever put on glasses and you can see different things, like old school, like maybe not like 3D, but sometimes polarized lenses, you can see stuff differently. Well, that's what they did with these marked cards. Also, the other thing they had was the trays that would hold your chips. Well, there would be a little camera that could see what the cards were. So once again, someone off-site can see all this, find out who has the best hand, text message the person on the table known as the quarterback. And once again, everyone's in on this except for the whale. Then they signal everybody else. They know which way to go, where to steer the money, where to make sure that person loses, and then everybody wins later. So the problem with this, potentially, is that you need to eventually get the money out of these people. Maybe they bet more than they brought, or they're saying, I'm good for it down the road. And forcing that now goes to the 5 families. We're talking major organized crime is accused of being part of this as well. So to enforce or maybe get the money from these people, they use the muscle, and that is what the mafia is known to do. And that is how they got a piece of this as well. Once they got wind that these people were making money on these games, these rigged games, they became part of this also. But get back to technology for a second. It's accused that there were X-ray tables that look real, but in actuality, you can see underneath and see what the cards were. Once again, someone off-site sees that, signals everybody else, and they're all on board to make sure that the whale, the big fish, loses their money that day. Unbelievable stuff, wild. And why these people who seemingly have enough money are involved in this, that's a big question. Will more chips fall on this? For the NBA, they say they're cooperating. They don't want this to happen in their game, obviously. But some people in the NBA not happy with the timing of this. Remember, the NBA season just began. Seemingly, this investigation has been going on for months, if not years. Why release it now? Maybe for maximum exposure. Folks, that is what's going on. Tell me what part of this you think is the most interesting and get back to me. But this is a big day for sports gambling to try to keep it on the up and up. And then also for the FBI and high-profile stuff. One more thing. Why doesn't this happen more often? Here's why. The casinos that run this stuff don't want to lose. So if all of a sudden there's a random game, Charlotte against, Indiana in the middle of the season, and all of a sudden everyone is betting on one guy to not hit his number, that's a red flag. Why all of a sudden, why not last game? Why not the next game? How come this one particular game has so much attention? That's a red flag. And then usually the books, the sports books, will notify another level of authority, sometimes the FBI if it gets that big, and they will look into this. Where did these bets come from? Who was connected? Who made these bets? And that is why they feel protected, because they don't want cheating either, because they'll lose a ton of money. So they don't want to lose their money. They are protected that way. And that is why the industry as a whole is protected, because a lot of these shenanigans can't go like this, where you throw a game and everyone makes money off of it, because that would be a red flag, and they can usually head that off. That's why if you do a smaller amount, you wouldn't be seen. But if you only have this information for one game, you want to maximize your output and your winnings. That's why a lot of people do it all at once, is seemingly what happened here. Once again, these are all allegations, but pretty hefty allegations that are coming out when it comes to this. One is the sports gambling part. One is the rigged poker game part. Can't wait to see where this goes from here, but wanted to update you and fill you in now so you know.